Major Garrett is with us now from Salem, New Hampshire. Major, the headline on the Washington Post, rivals exploit Rubio's slip-up. Marco Rubio's debate performance, will that reverse the momentum he picked up from the Iowa caucuses?
Reverse is a big word. It certainly has blunted his momentum. We'll find out in the next couple of days if it actually reversed it. There's no indication of that, but what Rubio had in his hands going into that debate Saturday was genuine momentum and the opportunity to really make a run at Donald Trump, whose lead in this state was beginning to melt. There was distance closing between the two of them, and there were those in the Rubio camp who thought, hey, if everything breaks right here and there's a great debate performance and Rubio really cleans up on that stage, he might be able to finish first or come in a very, very close second to Trump. Well, those conversations no longer exist. The Rubio campaign knows that in the back half of that debate, Rubio fought back, and maybe in the main, over those 2 hours, it was a 50-50 performance, but that's not what audiences have come to expect from Rubio. So because he did not close the deal in that Saturday televised debate, his momentum stalled, and that created an opportunity for Jeb Bush, for John Kasich, and certainly Ted Cruz, all of whom now believe they can finish second or third and very close to Rubio. And then the question really becomes, if in fact Donald Trump wins, and all of the polling data suggests that he will, what is the magnitude of that victory? If it's 10 points or more, then it's a complete sweep and Donald Trump looks really good and he's rebounded from Iowa. If it's less than 10 points, then you start getting into this tricky expectations game. If it's 5 points, did Donald Trump underperform yet again, even though he eked out a narrow victory? All that sort of stuff will be digested after the polls are closed and the results are in. But what looked on Saturday is something where it could be an interesting and compelling match right down to the end between Trump and Rubio no longer looks to be that anymore.
Yeah, we're looking at a poll right here that has John Kasich in second place. It came out over the weekend. I say second place, but second place has become very, very, very crowded ever since the last debate. But listen, John Kasich was doing pretty well in New Hampshire. Does he really need to knock it out? Or if he doesn't, does that mean the campaign's over for him?
Look, there are two campaigns here that are basically holding on to the edge of the ledge. John Kasich and Chris Christie. And by that I mean neither one of them have campaign contributions sufficient to carry on after this campaign. What they need here is an incredibly strong finish to open up checkbooks for donors that have basically said, you know, I like you, I like the message, but I don't believe you can carry this campaign on. So if John Kasich finishes a strong second, their campaign has told me they have a raft of donors ready to crack open their checkbooks, write big checks, and get them the money they need to get onto South Carolina, start building an organization, not only there, but in the March 1st primary states. The same thing is generally speaking true for Christie, though they are probably less well positioned to capitalize on a second or third place finish here than Kasich is, the Ohio governor. But both of them need to be much higher in the polls than they have been heretofore. Christie is running in that 4th, 5th, 6th area. Kasich second or third. The one thing that differentiates Kasich from Christie is that in this state he has spent 8 months building a statewide voter mobilization effort. Chris Christie has done a lot of events here, but his campaign is not as thoroughly organized on the ground. So Kasich is best positioned to take advantage of Rubio's stumbles, and their campaign believes second place is definitely within reach.
Major, final question. New Hampshire voters are notoriously undecided. We know 49% of those voters haven't completely been sold on a candidate yet. So could these late deciders have as much of an impact in this election as they did in Iowa?
Well, the question answers itself. Of course they will. And let me give you an insight into how undecided New Hampshire voters actually are. This is anecdotal evidence. It's exit poll data accumulated over many, many different primaries, presidential primaries in the state. Not only do 20% of New Hampshire voters, Republican and Democrat, wait until the last day to make up their minds, 12% of the total oftentimes decide while they are standing in line. Standing in line at the polls or in the polling booth itself. They decide late here. They take an awful long time to make up their decision, obviously, and a lot of the things that go through their minds are accumulated over all the town halls that they've gone to or the advertisements they've seen on television or the campaign mailers or emails they've received. And it's a quiet, contemplative process. So one thing I would just say before we wrap all this up, yes, there's a lot of polling data, but when you have that many people who decide that late, the polls will miss that component of it, and whoever catches that last bit of surge can oftentimes be a surprise here. And that's why the debate performance on Saturday for Rubio, who is positioned to take advantage of that, is such a significant story here.
Major Garrett in Salem, New Hampshire. Major, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You got it. Sure.
And a programming note. This Saturday, February 13th, CBSN will live stream the entire CBS News Republican debate from Greenville, South Carolina. Plus, we'll have an extensive pre- and post-debate analysis. Coverage begins at noon Eastern Saturday afternoon right here.